Taito's Halley Wars on Game Gear, the sequel to Halley's Comet, which first hit the arcades back in the mid-80s. So the basic plotline and concept are as follows. As mentioned before, this is a follow-up to the original arcade hit, Halley's Comet, in which your ship guards the known universe's planets throughout the solar system, taking out various swarms of aliens accompanying the tidal comet and its series of collisions. Basically, in true Pineapple Express fashion, it's like if Namco Bandai's Galaxian, Konami's Gyrus, and even Atari's Asteroids and Missile Command all met and had a few babies, and by some divine miracle that same swarm of babies met and fucked their brains out. This was their most blessed brainchild. As for the sequel itself, first released on the Famicom Disk System 2 years before this current part, it's the same spiel, except there's a new twist to both the plot and the gameplay routine. It's in the 21st century, otherwise known as right now, and this time around, the merciless legion of extraterrestrials led by Lord Halley have orchestrated yet another attack throughout the universe via that same comet, and it's now in your capable hands to once and for all cease those assaults, by blasting your way through, get these, the outskirts of various planets, not to mention within intergalactic enemy vessels, and in between countless asteroid fields. Now getting to both the basic gameplay and controls, again, it's the same deal as in Halley's Comet, not to mention those other shmups I mentioned, except there's a damage percentage rate displayed at the bottom right corner of your screen over how many lives you've got remaining. Every time a certain enemy and or comet hovers past your ship, that percentage increases due to the collision damage they inflict on the Earth, but you can repair it after you clear each stage, depending on your score. If that percentage reaches 100, however, aside from losing all your ships via conventional enemy attacks, it's an instant goddamn game over, but you can reset it to Zippo after continuing. The latter hazards, namely those fucking debris fragments from Halley's Comet, are the ones you've got to keep your eyes widely peeled for, because their collisions inflict way more damage than the former. If I were you, due to the aforestated damage percentage, I wouldn't expect to breeze through this shit expecting any simplistic elements. The controls, however, aside from the traditional D-pad used in order to move your ship, buttons 1 and 2 are used to fire your primary weapon and launch a special weapon, respectively, aren't half bad. They take a while to learn, but are definitely worth it, that's for sure. On to the bread and butter weapons and power-ups. They range from speed boosters, extra firepower including high-level spread shot and laser hybrids, and even diminutive option like drone wingman crafts, similar to Konami's Gradius series, that slightly give your overall firepower an extra jolt. Not only are they used as shields at times, except if your main ship collides with any projectile, enemy, and or hazard. They're also used as nukes for easier offensive tactics, though, in full honesty, I can never find a good use for them, especially when it comes to the bosses. Speaking of, in terms of challenge, like most shmups out there, hell, if some, whether it's on console or handheld, and no, I'm not mentioning any examples, refer back to what I mentioned because I'm not repeating myself. Halo Wars starts out easy, but as you progress, Christ, having intercourse with Pris from Blade Runner does the ferocity elevate beyond comprehension. Upon starting, you're treated to picking out your difficulty setting and even your firing speed, the former of which matters depending on how far you're willing to get. Aside from striving to prevent every enemy and comet fragment from total deterioration of our beloved Earth, you really have to keep a close eye on both your ship's status, because after it gets totaled, you end up losing half your overall firepower in between each life, instead of resetting back to diddly squat, like every freaking shmup out there. You only get 2 lives and a fair yet limited amount of continues, and if your sense of vigilance isn't in check every waking moment, you're best off signing your own motherfucking death warrant. Graphically, as dull as the visuals appear to be, even by today's standards, they're actually a sight for sore-ass eyes, even after over 2 decades. The explosions, both the firepower of your ship, and assorted enemies, various intergalactic interiors and backgrounds, not just in space of course, those menacing as fuck bosses, must they go on any further? My god, Taito was not fucking around here. And the same story applies with the music. Again, speaking of, composed by Star Watanabe, whoever the hell he's supposed to be. Despite how average each and every tune heard throughout might sound at times, the gallant, spellbinding soundtrack will leave your ass on the edge of your goddamn seat in ways that frankly one couldn't possibly imagine. My personal favorite being Stage 3, and even the boss themes, not the approaching intro before it. As for the sound effects, in civil honesty, as amusing as they are, they're an instant blah in my book to say the absolute least. For Halley Wars replayability, due in part to the countless longest held stages, and even the stage bosses and mini-bosses that are so tenacious, they even put Jables and Cage to absolute shame. No pun or insult intended. And even make Alex the Large from A Clockwork Orange look like Oliver fucking Twist. Not only that, you'll be playing those same stages over and over without any chance of continuation in between every playthrough, even after shutting off your Game Gear. Then again, it wouldn't even matter so much as a goddamn since most handhelds like those, rare or otherwise, are usually played leisurely during trips, breaks, whatever happens. So in summation, what's my final verdict here? If you've still got your Game Gear and are on the market for an anti-boredom infused, drop-dead exhilarating, beyond belief boundless handheld shmup like no other, I straight talk recommend the hell out of Halley Wars. By all means, if I were you, I'd hunt this hidden gem down like a ferocious fucking turkey. Trust me, you won't regret it. And as always, until then, this is the Hardcore Retro God signing off.